everyone, and welcome to Whose Life Is It Anyway? A show where everything is made up, but the points actually do matter. If any of that sounds a little familiar, well, that's because yes, this is an improv comedy podcast where all the stories you're about to hear were completely made up on the spot, guided and prompted by real improv comedy games. How does it work? Well, two players are tasked with having a podcast-like interview or conversation, making it all up as they go, but there's a third guest who can interrupt at any time and give them new rules or new directions for their conversation via a list of different improv games and guidelines. How do you win? Well, if a player breaks character or simply doesn't follow the rules of the game they're in at the time, the other person is awarded a point, and at the end of a 20-minute time limit, the guest with the most points wins, and of course, becomes known to the world as a comedic genius. So, without any further ado, let's find out who's making stuff up in this episode. Are we ready to make some stuff up, you guys?
Oh, God, yes.
Let's make it happen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Whose Life Is It Anyway? This is a very real podcast about a fake podcast where someone's life story is about to be made up right here, right now, on the spot. And of course, I can't do that by myself. I've got two wonderful guests sitting here with me. One of them is doing his best to mimic being a host of this show. His name is Nick Reed. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am doing my best.
I love it. And you know what? I might award you a point early in this episode for doing your best.
I agree.
And someone else who often does his best on this show, many would say he's a Whose Life veteran at this point. Stand and salute for Taylor Lumley. Taylor, welcome back.
I'm doing my best impression of a fucking hamster right now.
The crowd booed.
Oh, I can add in some booze in post. But hey, folks, if you...
of booze.
A cascade of booze.
If you happen to maybe be unsure or unfamiliar with what's about to happen here, I'm in the host chair. My name is Ross Tyson. I am your host, and I'm about to task Nick and Taylor with coming up with their very own podcast interview right here on the spot, and they're going to make up someone's life story while they do, while I interrupt with this wonderful buzzer as I interrupt whenever I see fit to make them play these different improv games and guidelines as we go. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, because this is an improv show where the points do, in fact, matter. But fellas, before we get started, I got to lay out the ground rules here.
Cool.
I've got to assign you your roles and the theme of this show. So who's getting interviewed, who's the interviewer, whose show is this? This is what I want to do. Nick,
yes.
This is going to be your podcast. You are the interviewer. You're the host for this one, which means, Taylor, you are his guest.
Okay.
The theme of this one, this is what I want to do. Nick, you host an extreme sports podcast, okay?
Okay.
Taylor, you are
That's it.
a stuntman, all right? But Nick has you on his show to talk about your most recent crazy stunt that went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do we have that? Nick, you host an extreme sports podcast. Taylor, you're an extreme sports crazy stunt man. And something recently went wrong with your most recent stunt. And I'll be here to buzz in and annoy you with a bunch of these improv games. But for now, take it away. The clock begins.
And welcome back to another episode of Punched Nuts and Bolts. My name is Xander McDougal, and I'm here with my guest, Horatio Lives in His Van. And we're here to talk about, Horatio, we're here to talk about your most recent just travesty, I think is the best way to put it. You know what? I think let's let you take away exactly what happened.
What's up at the race for all my In the Van followers at home? Yeah, man. So my most recent stunt, as you may have seen on the news, I jumped a school bus over 10 other school buses successfully.
Okay. Is that where you wanna stop with? So you said successfully.
Yeah, I did forget to get all the kids out of the school buses. So that's on me. I will say that's totally on me. There were some injuries. There was a lot of dookie. But, I mean, they lived, you know? And to make a jump like that, they're also record holders too. So, like, I don't see what the problem is.
I think that's true. But do you think saying they lived is adequate or accurate, I think is more the word.
I'd say that it's like consistent with my toxicology reports from the day.
Fair, but they also were administered by a practicing clown on site.
Yeah. What's up, by the way, Terry, the Nitro Clown? Yeah, Nitro Clown, though, he's like certified in most states, so it was pretty cool. It was pretty chill.
This is not a podcast about how fucking sick Nitro Clown is. We all know how fucking sick Nitro Clown is. This is a podcast about you to explain to the world, your viewers, our viewers, your fans, me, specifically me.
Oh, wait, shit. Was one of your kids on the bus? They said that there were
one of my fucking kids was on the bus, man.
Oh, okay.
There was a Mick McDougal on the fucking bus, man.
Yeah.
Change. What's his name?
Mick McDougal.
Change that.
Just an earnest question. His name was Little McDougal.
So like Lil, like Lil McDougal?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember him because, see, what we did was Sprocket Energy Drink. They took us to the elementary school, and they were like, here's the thing.
Shout out Sprocket.
We're going to get you 10 school buses from this elementary school. I didn't know that Sprocket was going under, and they were stealing the school buses. So that's also on me.
Shout out Sprocket.
Yeah, thank you, Sprocket, for the money and also the school buses.
Shout out Sprocket.
But it was like, I was a little drunk, and I was
okay.
I mean,
okay. I thought Terry the Clown's, the Nitro Clown's toxicology reports, prove that you weren't. Horatio. Raish.
I haven't read them.
Change.
I can't read.
I think me and most of the viewers or listeners here know that or assumed that at least at this point.
Yeah.
Pause. I'm going to interject with our first official game of this episode. Let's continue the conversation as normal, but we are going to play Alphabet, where each of you must begin your next sentence with the next chronological letter in the alphabet. And we are going to start with Z. Nick, you spoke last with me and Taylor. Kick it off.
Xander, the real reason I think that you had me on your podcast is you wanted some sick merch.
At least say my name correctly.
But wait, that's not your name?
Can we just let's move past that moment. Tell me more of what happened. Explain that day.
Dude jumps in the front of the bus, right? Well, the first bus. And he hotwired it, which I thought was weird. I was like, if we're getting these buses from the school, why are you stealing it? But, I mean, like, it was around the same time that school was getting out, too.
Exactly. And I think that might have been a, red flag for you, that these school buses were showing up at the same time that school was getting out that day. And you knew that, apparently?
Flags aside, I mean, like, I can't really see color that great. I'm not
God damn it. God damn it, Raish. What? Does your body work?
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I've been hitting the head.
Yeah, and you forgot the next letter.
He's been hitting the head, which means he forgot the alphabet. Nick is on the board with a point.
Yeah, we still dab.
I love that we're digging into how this stunt went wrong. Let's keep going down that path. Go back to normal as you were.
So, despite all your, I guess, how do I want to say them, shortcomings, put that
I'm
aside.
like 6'1", actually.
Change. How tall
I'm
are
like
you?
6'6", actually.
Yeah, I can tell because your knees are touching mine, and this table's huge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're mostly bottom half.
Yeah.
And not the good part, if you know what I mean. So, moving past your shortcomings here, do you have remorse for what you did?
Well, I mean, the Jump did make a lot of money for that kids program, which was kind of like funny if you think about it. Because I did.
Why is it funny?
Well, because the kids program was actually putting those kids in jail. I found out they weren't getting them out of jail.
Okay, I mean that's fucking funny.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, and we called it Jump for Freedom. So I was just like,
Change.
We called it Jump for Jail.
The alliteration just sells it, by itself.
And like when my manager was like, "Yo, do you want to jump for jail?" I was like, "Yo, are we jumping these kids out of jail?" And he was like, "Bro, I don't really know why you still let me be your manager. Let's just fucking do it."
Sure.
And I was like,
Pause. I'm going to interject with another game here. We are going to play If You Know What I Mean, where each of you must speak using only innuendos as we continue this interview. And go.
To be fair, I don't think Nitro Clown should be your manager because, you know about clowns, if you know what I mean.
"Yeah, but if a clown comes to you and says, 'Brother, we got to suck this bus through the air,' you're not going to do it, you know what I mean?"
I think there's a lot of things that clowns, compensate for, if you know what I mean.
It's not that the shoes aren't filled. They're just big, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, you got to honk on that horn, if you know what I mean.
I do love to give that nose a squeeze, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and paint that face red, if you know what I mean.
Sweet, sweet clown butt, if you know what I mean.
You know what? We'll call it into that game. But technically, that didn't totally work, but also was pretty good. I'm going to give you each a point.
I agree with
for
it.
If you know what I mean.
Democratically, we agree.
Let's go back to normal as we were.
So we get the buses, and like the kids are screaming, so I thought they were in on it.
You thought they were having fun.
Well, they kept screaming like, "Yeah, take us up. Yeah, we want to do this." Like specifically. And I was like, "All right, little dudes, like let's fucking go,"
They said, "We want to do this."
Well, yeah, and it was one of those nice schools where they had seatbelts, so I figured they were in on it maybe. Like maybe this was a Sprocket Energy sponsored.
Shout out Sprocket.
Sprocket Energy. Sprocket Energy sponsored. Sprocket Energy.
What's up?
Sponsored event, So I was like, "Oh, maybe these are kids from all around the world."
Okay, but what about the kids that were in the buses you were jumping over? Did you know those were full of kids as well? That their parents were worried about them calling into the authorities and the school incessantly?
I actually was very impressed with how filled the stadium was. I didn't realize that most of it was the parents and the armed guards was keeping them from their children. I thought that was for my security,
So, speaking of Sprocket Energy, shout out Sprocket.
Sprocket Energy.
Do you think mainly the reason they were going bankrupt was paying off these armed guards to keep the parents from their children? This feels like it might have been more Sprocket. What's up, Sprocket?
Sprocket Energy.
Trying to cause some, domestic, I don't want to say terror, but at least upheaval or unease.
Pause. Continue your conversation, but now we're going to do it with an accent. Accents only.
Well, I don't really know. It's hard to say. Sprocket Energy, shout Sprocket
So
Energy.
what's up, Sprocket?
Thing is, they're really good at covering their losses. One time they had me do this stunt over in Russia, right? And they were like, "Look, we're gonna shoot off flamethrowers into the crowd while you jump your physical body over this tank of sharks." And I was like, "I don't know why you're shooting flamethrowers directly at crowds of people, but whatever, you're paying me my money." So,
I mean, to be honest, this is not the accent I meant to start with, but I'm going with it.
thanks, Reba. I love your show.
All right, but when you're over there, you fucked that one too, dang it. I can do accents, damn it.
I lost mine.
Whoa!
I lost mine.
Wow. You got in his head.
I'm a man from no land. That was my accent.
Got in his head. You played the game. You
got
played a
me.
good mind game.
Oh, man, that was an attempt at a Cockney accent.
You got
and
me
it
good.
did not happen.
Well, let's continue the interview as we were.
Let's go.
Let's really get to the bottom of what happened that day.
So speaking of Sprocket,
Sprocket Energy.
what's up, Sprocket? Shout out, Sprocket. Do you think that you were a pawn in their scheme? Do you think that you were, or were you in on it yourself?
So, like, define the term pawn.
Sure, yeah, I should have assumed that you did not understand what a pawn was.
Yeah, for real.
Say like you're fucking doing like a rally race. You know what I mean?
Okay, dope,
yeah,
dope.
and you're that dude that like holds the map that no one listens to.
Oh, that
Yeah.
nerd. Okay, I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Were you one of those dudes?
Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Because when I was jumping and I heard over the radio and they were like, "Open fire!" I was like, "Yeah, fireworks!" And then I noticed them just like hitting people in the crowd, you know, and like shooting fireworks, but like into the crowd.
Sure.
So-
And that is something we haven't touched on yet, and I feel like this is a good point to touch on it. Were the injuries and the casualties that happen in the people in the stands, you
Yeah.
know, the parents
Right.
and family members that were trying to get their kids out of those buses.
Right.
So you okay?
It's like, you know, if it's not my fault if a bunch of parents got sprayed with fireworks, you know, they're not my fireworks.
Pause. I'm going to interject with our next game. We are going to play Whose Line, where I'm going to disperse 2 secret lines to each player that you must implement into your conversation sometime in the next handful of minutes. And I'm also going to stack something else on top here. We are going to switch our roles. So that means Taylor now assumes the identity of the interviewer, the podcast host, Vance Longstrong, or whatever his name was, and
Nailed it.
Nick is now Ratio Balls. What was your?
Horatio lives in this van.
Horatio-
and you're Xander McDougal.
Xander
There we
McDougal.
go. You got
Little
the memory
McDougal, my
of
son.
a fox.
McDougal.
So, Nick, you're now being interviewed. You're now the stunt man with a
Trying to
stunt
get a
went
grip
wrong.
on it, trying to get a grip on it.
Taylor, you are now interviewing him. And take it away with Whose Line.
Yeah, so I mean, like, my kids were in the bus. When they started spraying the stands with fireworks, I was in the stands. I did not get hit in the fire with the fireworks, but my wife did.
And dude, I'm fucking so like stoked that you didn't get hit by those fireworks.
Thanks, dude. I really
Like
appreciate
I'm
that.
just like I can't like thank my stars enough that you didn't get fucking hit with those fireworks, man. Those,
Right.
But to be fair, they were kind of fucking sick though. There was like
They're
a
so
couple
sick, dude.
mortars in there. I know people got burnt and a little hit by them, but like I mean they were fucking sick.
Well, dude, when you were in the middle of the jump, too, and that one firework shot off and it spelled over the crowd, I'd stab you right now if I could. That was so sick.
I think that was fucking tight. That was fucking tight. But I did not know that was going to be the message. And like as kind of a like pro piece, extreme sports artist like that I like to call myself. I feel like I just like to live by my credo, in these moments,
Right.
which is I don't even actually need this wheelchair.
Right.
And like that kind of like to explain that a little bit, it's like I don't need to be doing these tricks, like doing a full pipe on in a wheelchair
Right.
and like with a fucking full body like triple body varial and shit. Which was you saw that.
I saw that.
Yeah,
dude.
it was fucking sick.
After your hospitalization, when you fell down the gorge, when you tried to jump it on the snake coaster.
All
I
right,
saw
Xander,
that too.
Xander, we don't have to fucking. You know that's a trick we don't talk about, man. But yeah, and I think that's just how I live my life. It's just like it's not about doing these stunts. I mean, they're fucking sick, and yeah, a couple people get hurt, myself included. I think we are really not paying attention about how I got hurt in this
Right.
jump.
Right. And the kids did live. They did.
Yes,
live.
they fucking lived. Yeah, a few parents and grandparents and grandmothers didn't make it out. But
So I just want to ask, though, how do you feel about Sprocket Energy? Shout out
Yeah,
Sprocket
so-
Energy. How do you feel about them using this display to also debut their sets of new launching kitchenware?
well, I think their tagline speaks for itself, which is "Violate me right now."
Pretty perfect, given the situation. But I thought it was also pretty on the nose.
It was on the nose, and I mean, listen, say what you want about Sprocket. Shout out Sprocket.
Sprocket Energy.
But I'm a proud Sprocket athlete. Shout out Sprocket. And you know what? I think I've created a beautiful relationship with these people.
Absolutely.
Sprocket. And you know what? I trust them. I trust what they're doing.
Change.
And you know what? I would literally suck you for one of them.
Well, you know, as they
And I
say,
have. Let's talk about that, Xander. No, we don't have to talk about that.
as they say though, as we all know over at Sprocket Energy, they say if you're not sucking one down, thanks for last night. So
And isn't that so... Sorry.
it really is. It's a perfect way to just
It's just so fucking sick.
right.
It's just like a fucking
Right.
sick thing.
Like it's,
I'm going to interject the tears here with another game as we get in our last few minutes of the episode here. We are going to play number of words. Each of you can only speak with an assigned number of words. Nick, you get 4 words. Taylor, you get 2. And go.
Sprocket Energy.
Shout out Sprocket Energy.
Yeah.
Shout out is 2 words.
Bus crash.
Bus did go far.
Bus land.
Bus land, big boom.
Kids safe.
Kids safe, kind of.
No worries.
That is very true.
Sprocket Energy.
Shout out Sprocket.
Did you just throw it? You said your words.
I got nothing else for it outside of
You know what? Just because no one really lost that game, you each get a point.
I got nothing for Sprocket.
You each get a point. All right, guys, we are in our
Sprocket
last
Energy.
2 minutes of the game here, so let's find a way to close down this story and close
score?
down this
What's the-
interview.
what's the score?
I
Hold
can't
on.
tell you till the end of it.
Damn it.
You can't know.
I can't read upside down either. I'll tell you.
Can't look at these tally marks upside
You're
down.
Xander. Horatio can't read.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's true. All right, close us down here.
So, like the bus lands successfully. The kids are still screaming.
Sure.
You see the kids start streaming out of the other buses towards their families, who are now several families have been burned and scarred horrifically by fireworks and various kitchen appliances and kitchenware. What's going through your mind, Harish?
I mean, it's kind of the point I do like any of these stunts and these tricks and kind of how I live my life. If I can, affect one of those kids that was on that bus
Right.
or in the subsequent 10 buses to become a fucking extreme athlete,
Right.
I mean, then I accomplished what I set out to do.
Yeah, and you know what, man, I can really appreciate your at all costs attitude of hey, fuck your kids.
Sure.
I'm gonna jump this school bus filled with them over another school bus filled with them
And again, I will say it again.
10 times.
I did not make them have kids.
Right.
That's not on me.
Right.
I'm sorry your kids were on the bus. Sure. Listen, I'm sorry your kids were on the bus.
My kids.
But
My kid was on the bus.
God, I always keep bringing up old shit, man. God damn, dude. You fucking harsh the vibes so goddamn much, dude. I know your kid was on the bus.
It's
He
cool.
lived.
Little McDougal, he made it.
Yeah, he's fine. Little's fucking sick, too. He can kickflip a whole 8-stair. So,
Change.
he can snowboard down 3 black diamonds in the same day on the same mountain.
He can.
He can, and that
Thanks
kid's
for
fucking
noticing.
sick.
He is sick.
He's sick. And do you think he'd be that sick if I did not have him in the bus as I jumped over those 10 buses and landed it safely and
true.
accomplished that feat?
I also don't think he'd be as sick if he didn't drink his Sprocket Energy.
Sprocket Energy.
And on that note, the game has come to a
That's the perfect timing. Yes!
We
Sprocket
end
Energy always shout out Sprocket.
Shout out
end
Sprocket Energy.
with the Sprocket Energy sponsorship. All right, gentlemen.
You gotta
Well,
have a timer. Or one of those little every time we shout out Sprocket Energy.
Sprocket count.
A change
Like
sound.
a
Chicka-ching.
sponsored by Sprocket Energy.
So, the game has come to an end. We ended it pretty well, spot on. And I have to say, what a journey it was. So, just to clarify, what was his name? Horatio. I live in my van.
Lives in his van.
Lives in his van. Stuntman.
Xander
Extraordinaire.
McDougal being interviewed by
Xander McDougal, stuntman extraordinaire, ramped a bus full of children over 6 other buses full of children, and it happened to be not set up as a stunt. It was just a day at school.
Yeah.
For those
And-
kids.
Well, for those kids. Yeah. Well, what started as a
Yeah.
normal day at school.
By like what I'm imagining as like a C- energy drink company that's just going downhill fast. And they're like, look, dude, I got a guy that can steal 10 school buses. Do you want to do the stunt or not?
That's good. That's good. How do you think Mr. Live in My Van came across?
So close to it every single time.
deal
So
with
close to it.
In my head, he was just a dumbass. That was like, he's the kind of person that's just like, yeah, we'll get him to assassinate President Lincoln. Like, you know, like
He's just fine.
He's a fucking idiot.
Incredible. I love that fucking Andrew, whatever the interviewer's name. I love that he ends up very okay with the fact that his child
To be
was.
fair, he did end up with a fucking sick ass
Just
kid.
He did.
Yeah.
Was a very sick child at the
Yeah.
end.
He probably got like a
But like-
Sprocket Energy poster, you know, like Sprocket
Yeah,
Energy.
yeah. If you would like to
Maybe it's
support a
cast.
sick child, you can order custom orders of
Energy.
Sprocket Energy. Yes, and for every case that you order of Sprocket, they donate. What is it, Nick? What do they donate?
They donate Sprocket sponsored child size walkers
Yes, yes.
for
So that way,
the
yeah,
kids that were on the bus.
getting kids back on their feet
Yeah.
daily. Well, we've got some points to count, fellas. All right. This, like I said at the beginning, this is an improv show where it's all fun and games until someone has to fucking lose.
Here's the part
Did we
where
go
I-
over what I win when I win?
Oh yeah, yeah. You didn't hear that earlier? Mm-mm. Were you? Oh, I only say it once per ep. Once per ep, dog.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Yikes.
Sorry. Yeah. You gotta watch your mail closely
seems
for the next
super-
few weeks.
Super inconvenient for me.
It's almost like you wouldn't. It's almost like you're
almost
not
like-
saying it again for a reason.
It's almost like you didn't say it the first
No,
time.
we said it. But what I will say right now is who won and who lost because points were built up, points were won, points were lost, points were gained, buses were jumped, children were
Maimed.
maimed.
Hey,
Wow. You know what?
guys.
I'm going to give you an extra point.
No,
I'm going to
fuck.
post-game point to Taylor for making up that
Run with
rhyme.
the 3 from downtown.
I swear to God. If
But
this
here's
is,
the thing.
I will
okay?
riot.
Taylor just got an extra point, which racks him up at 3 points for this episode.
Oh, I have to have more points.
The
than
first
that.
time ever a post-game point being scored here on Who's Life.
I don't
I'll
like.
take
I don't like setting precedents.
And
but
here's the thing.
I'll Steve Kerr it.
don't tie me. Don't tie me.
Nick accumulated. I cannot believe it. Taylor with that extra point at
No,
the end
fuck
of the
you.
episode.
No.
His 3 points was not enough to defeat Nick
Oh,
with 4. Nick, you took this one home. And now
Thank
you play
you.
the John Cena theme song. Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
Yeah, I
Listen.
can't remember the Machine Head song that's in my head. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Oh, the yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, Nick, how do you feel after your first appearance here on the show and you take home the victory and your very special prize that you will be getting very soon that you should have listened earlier. You should have listened a little bit closer.
Is it
but
like in
we'll
a
get it.
box?
I
Or
cannot
so-
tell
what-
you.
is there
Taylor's won
some-
before. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, how
Do
fun is
you-
it? Is it fun?
It depends which prize.
Is my house
Yeah.
big enough to hold it?
Taylor had to move 2 times after winning the
did.
show.
So the whole
Yeah.
lives in his van thing was a very
Close.
personal note
Almost
to
accurate.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is
can it
hard.
fit in my van?
With your family?
Okay, so I have to get rid of the family.
but it can fit in a school bus full of children.
Oh,
So watch
that's-
for it. Hey,
that's quaint.
congratulations.
Thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Before we wrap this one
including
up,
Sprocket. It's like my accent in the game.
you know what? I want you to bring that accent back.
I do
For the
know.
end of the pick an accent
don't.
and pick an accent. And what we're gonna do is I want to play a game with you guys as we wrap this up. It's become near tradition for this thing that no one has called a tradition on
My
this show.
fucking accent, eh?
Here's what I want to do. We are going to tell the people goodbye, all forming a wrap up to this episode, 1 word at a time. I will kick us off and we'll go this way around the table. Okay? Yo,
Hello.
Hey.
I
Am
Happy.
that
we
Are
all
here
together.
with
one
Giant
school bus
full
of
barely
legal
grandmas.
Saved it.
At Whose Life Pod. Guys, we did it.